Hello, I'm Miranda, and this is my 4th Warmachine battle report. I play Khador, and today I will be playing a 35-point battle against the Retribution of Scyrah. Today, Khador is represented by Prime Vladimir Sapetsky. His battle group is made up of a Devastator Warjack, a Juggernaut Warjack, and a War Dog. He also has a minimum unit of mechanics, a Manhunter Solo, a full unit of Man of War Shock Troopers, a full unit of Winter Guard and their unit attachment, and they are being led by Kovnik Joseph Grigorovich. The Retribution of Scyrah is represented by Adeptus pRahn. His battle group is made up of a Phoenix Heavy Myrmidon and a Griffin Light Myrmidon. He also has an Arcanist Solo, a pair of House Shail Magister Solos, a unit of House Shail Battle Mages. He has Iris, Mage Hunter of Ios, a pair of Mage Hunter Assassin Solos, a unit of Stormfall Archers, and a second unit of House Shail Battle Mages. Since we're playing a 35-point battle, we decided to play a scenario game. We rolled a 2 on the dice, determining we would play the scenario Killing Field. After winning the dice roll 6-3, I decided I would go first. Vlad is starting out the game behind his 2 Warjacks and a line of mechanics. To his left are the Winter Guard and Kovnik Joe, and to his far right are the Man of War. Adeptus pRahn is starting his deployment behind a row of battle mages, with his 2 Myrmidons on either side. To his right is another unit of battle mages, and to his far right are the Stormfall Archers. For my advanced deployment, my Manhunter deploys ahead of my Man of War unit. For my opponent's deployment, he placed Iris and the Mage Hunter Solos evenly across the board, with Iris in the middle. Khador turn 1. In the control phase, Vlad allocates 1 point of focus to the Devastator Jack. He keeps the rest for himself. The Devastator activates and uses his point of focus to run a full 8 inches. Next, the Winter Guard activate and issue a bob and weave order. They advance their full movement of 6 inches. Kovnik Joe moves up to join them, giving the speech Courage of the Forefathers, giving them tough and fearless. Next, the Man of War Shock Troopers issue a run order, allowing them to move 8 inches. The mechanics activate and move up 5 inches. Now Vlad activates and spends 3 focus to cast Wind Wall on himself. He spends 2 focus to cast Boundless Charge on the Juggernaut, and then moves up behind the mechanics. His War Dog moves up to join them. Next, the Juggernaut charges forward. I chose the Griffin Myrmidon as my charge target because I can't just charge at nothing. And with Boundless Charge on him, he has Pathfinder, so he doesn't lose any speed going through the rubble. Finally, I activate my Manhunter, moving her back just a few inches. Retribution, turn 1. In the control phase, Adeptus pRahn allocates 1 point of focus to the Phoenix and keeps the rest for himself. His Arcanist activates and moves up, using Power Booster to give the Griffin 1 point of focus. Next, his Stormfall archers issue a run order and move 12 inches up behind one of the buildings. One of the Battle Mage units activates and advances their normal movement of 6 inches. Next, Iris moves up and into cover. She shoots a disruptor bolt at the Devastator Warjack. Its 12-inch range barely reaches the target. With a roll of 7, the bolt hits. It has a power 10, so it can't scratch the Jack's armor of 25, but it does cause disruption. Next, the Griffin activates and uses a point of focus to run 12 inches. Then, one of the Magister solos activates and moves forward 6 inches. Next, Adeptus Ron activates and spends 2 points of focus to cast Polarity Shield on the Phoenix. The Phoenix can no longer be charged in his front arc. Then, Ron moves up his full 5 inches and holds on to the rest of his focus. Next, the other unit of Battle Mages issue a run order and move up, losing speed as they move through the rubble. The next Magister solo activates and moves up 6 inches. Then the Phoenix moves up his normal movement of 6 inches. One of the Mage Hunter assassins moves up just a few inches. The other Mage Hunter assassin runs a full 14 inches up the board. Khador, turn 2. For the control phase, Vlad decides to hold on to all of his focus. The mechanics activate and issue a run order. They have 10 inches of movement, which is more than they need to gather up behind the 2 Jacks. Next, Vlad activates and advances 6 inches. He spends 4 focus to cast Signs and Portents, and the other 2 points of focus to cast Boundless Charge on the Devastator. Then he uses his feat, Forced March, allowing the Jacks in his battle group to charge without spending focus and doubling their base speed. The War Dog activates and runs up next to its master. Next, the Devastator is going to activate and charge Iris. The Devastator does have Boundless Charge on it, so with Vlad's feat it can charge 13 inches. He moves into base-to-base contact with the Mage Hunter and activates Rain of Death. This auto hits Iris for 18 damage. With her armor 12, the blast kills her outright. Next, the Juggernaut activates and advances toward the objective ahead of him. His movement is doubled this turn, but since he's starting in rough terrain, he doesn't quite make it. The Winter Guard activate, and they do have movement to make it to the objective. So, a run order is issued and a few of them make it to the marker while the rest of them fan out. Next, Kovnik Joe advances around the rubble and continues to bolster everybody's confidence with more speeches on the courage of our forefathers. The Man-O-War Shock Troopers activate and issue a run order. They advance their 8 inches onto the objective marker, blocking it from Scyrah's troops. Next, the Manhunter climbs up onto the terrain and waits. Again, we are playing the scenario Killing Field. For this scenario, you can't start scoring points until turn 2. Now that I've ended my second turn on 2 objective markers, I have scored 2 points toward a scenario victory. Retribution, turn 2. In the control phase, Adeptus Ron spends a point of focus to upkeep Polarity Shield on the Phoenix. He decides to camp the rest of his focus to cast spells with later on. One of the Magister solos activates and advances a few inches, casting Whip Snap at the Devastator Warjack. It has a 6-inch range which falls short. Next, Adeptus Ron moves up 3 inches and activates his feat, Arcane Alignment. This adds 2 inches to spells cast in his control area, and both attack and damage rolls are boosted. It's a really good feat for an army full of magic users. Adeptus Ron casts Telekinesis at the Devastator Warjack. His attack and damage rolls are boosted, so he needs anything but Snake Eyes to hit. He hits with no problem and can now place the Heavy Jack anywhere within 2 inches of its current location. Now that the Devastator is lined up, the Warcaster hits him with a Force Hammer spell. Again, not Snake Eyes to hit. With a d6 roll of 6 inches, the Devastator is slammed back into the Juggernaut, knocking down both Warjacks and causing collateral damage to the Winter Guard in its path. The first dice roll is the force hammer damage against the Devastator. At dice minus 13, there's no damage to its armor 25. Against the Winter Guard, the collateral damage hits their armor 13 with a power 12, so they will only be making tough rolls. So the first one is tough and stays knocked down. The second one is tough as well. The third Winter Guard, however, is not so lucky and is crushed under the weight of the Khador Jack. Now for the collateral damage roll against the Juggernaut. Again, this is power 12 versus the Juggernaut's armor 20. He is rolling dice minus 8 and causes 3 points of damage to column 4. Next, the Magister Solo activates and moves 6 inches. He casts Whip Snap at the nearest Winter Guardsman lying on the ground. Since he is knocked down, his defense is 5, and the Magister will hit on anything but Snake Eyes. He hits, and with a power 12 hit, the Guardsman can only make a tough roll, which he fails. Now, the Arcanist moves up 6 inches and uses Power Booster to put a point of focus on the Griffin. Then the Griffin activates and uses that focus to run 12 inches and contest one of the objective markers. Next, his unit of Battle Mages activates and advances 6 inches. The first Battle Mage shoots a Force Bolt at the Winter Guard officer. He needs a 6 to hit and rolls a crit. It knocks her down and back 2 inches. He rolls dice minus 3 for damage, and she needs to make a tough roll. She shows the Battle Mage how tough Khadoran officers are with a roll of 6. The next Battle Mage shoots a Force Bolt at the closest Winter Guard. Since the Guardsman is knocked down, he needs anything but 1s to hit. At dice minus 3, he successfully wounds. The Winter Guard does not make his tough roll. The next Battle Mage Force Bolts the next closest Winter Guard. He needs a 6 or better to hit and does so with no problem. He rolls dice minus 3 for damage and forces the Guardsman to make a tough roll. He does not make it. The next Battle Mage fires a Force Bolt at a Winter Guard and hits him with no problem. He exceeds the Guardsman's armor, and the Winter Guard soldier fails his tough roll. The last Battle Mage in range fires a Force Bolt and critically hits the next Winter Guard. The Force Bolt exceeds his armor, and the Guardsman fails his tough roll. Next, the Phoenix activates and moves 6 inches. Then the other unit of Battle Mages activate and issues a run order. They move up 12 inches and claim an objective marker. Next, the Stormfall Archers activate and issue a run order as well. They form a line behind the Battle Mages. Then the Mage Hunter Assassin moves back a few inches. And the other Mage Hunter Assassin runs a full 14 inches into my back field to start putting pressure on my caster. Now we're at the end of his turn and I'm holding the first objective. We're both contesting the second objective and he is holding the third objective, so we each score 1 point. Khador, turn 3. For the control phase, Vlad allocates 1 point of focus to the Juggernaut and uses 2 points of focus to drive both Warjacks to their feet. Vlad hangs on to the other 4. The unit of mechanics activates and moves up to repair the Juggernaut. Since 2 of them are in base-to-base contact with the Jack, they'll need to roll an 8 or less on 2d6. They fail to repair and will likely be reprimanded should they survive this battle. Next, Vlad activates and moves up behind the mechanics. Then he spends his 4 focus to cast Signs and Portents. And his war dog trots up to join him. Now the Devastator activates and walks into base-to-base contact with the Griffin Light Myrmidon. He performs his star attack, Rain of Death, hitting the Griffin with a power 18 blast. I roll even dice against its armor, causing 6 damage to column 6. Instead of column 6, however, it just takes out his field generator. Next, the Juggernaut walks into base-to-base contact with the Griffin and makes his initial attacks, starting with Ice Axe. I need a 6 to hit, and while under Signs and Portents, I pick the highest 2 out of 3 dice. I hit him without any trouble and roll dice plus 1 for damage. The Ice Axe does 12 damage to column 4. Then he swings his fist at the Light Myrmidon and hits again. I roll dice minus 3 and do 7 damage to column 4. I use a point of focus to buy another attack with the Juggernaut's Ice Axe. Again, I need a 6 to hit, and I succeed. And with a power 19 weapon, I take out the last damage box without having to roll. Next, the Mana War unit activates and gives a shield wall order, shifting around to better protect the objective. One of the shock troopers attempts to shoot at the Magister solo, but is just out of range. Then the Manhunter moves up behind the shock troopers and hides behind their tall mechanical suits. Next, Kovnik Joe activates and shouts, "For the motherland," and then moves back behind the rubble for cover. So, while his presence may not inspire them, his words have given them boosted attack rolls. Then the Winter Guard activate and advance toward the enemy. The first guardsman fires grape shot at 3 of the battle mages. With signs and portents up, I have no trouble hitting them, and with a power 10 weapon against their armor 12, I kill on anything but snake eyes. I roll for the next battle mage, again needing a 10 or better. I hit and kill him as well. The third mage, however, I fail to hit. The next Winter Guard shoots at another battle mage, hitting him with a roll of 13. I roll for damage and take him out of the game. So, this turn, I've taken the battle mage unit down to half strength. My opponent has to take a command check, and passes it without any trouble. This concludes Khador turn 3, and puts me in control of 2 objectives, with the Retribution of Scyrah in control of only 1. Retribution, turn 3. In the control phase, Adeptus pRahn allows Polarity Shield to fall off the Phoenix, and loads him up with 3 focus instead. He keeps the other 5 for himself. The first Magister solo activates, moving up a few inches and casting Force Bolt at the Devastator. He needs a 3 or better to hit against a defense 10, and does so without any trouble. He's not able to do any damage against my armor 25, but his spell does push the Heavy Jack back 3 inches. The second Magister solo activates. He moves up a few inches and casts Whip Snap at the Devastator. He hits it and again cannot do any damage, but since the Phoenix is within 3 inches of him, it can advance 3 inches. Next, the diminished unit of battle mages activates and moves out of the Myrmidon's way. They also cast Force Bolt at the Devastator Warjack. The first one hits, and again no damage, but he pushes the Devastator back 2 inches. The next battle mage casts Force Bolt at the Juggernaut Warjack and rolls a hit. At dice minus 10 he does not do any damage, but he does pull the Jack 3 inches toward him. Then, pRahn moves up 5 inches and casts Telekinesis at the Juggernaut. Since the Warjack is within melee range of one of the battle mages, it increases his defense by 4, putting his defense at 14. So pRahn spends 2 points of focus to cast the spell and 1 point to boost it. He needs a 6 or better to hit and hits with no problem. So he moves my Juggernaut out of melee range of his battle mage and spins him around 180 degrees, putting his Phoenix in my Warjack's back arc. Then, pRahn casts Telekinesis at the Devastator, barely hitting it with a roll of 3. He spins the Warjack around 180 degrees as well. Next, the Arcanist activates and moves 6 inches toward the Phoenix. He puts Concentrated Power on the Heavy Myrmidon, adding +2 to its melee damage rolls. Now the Phoenix activates and spends a point of focus to charge the Juggernaut. Attacking the back arc of the Juggernaut lowers its defense to 8, so the Phoenix will hit on anything but 1s. It hits without any problem, and with Concentrated Power, the Thermal Blade hits for Power Strength 19. He rolls dice minus 1 for damage, and even though his damage roll is boosted from the charge, his dice fail him miserably, doing only 3 damage to column 4. He swings with his open fist, again hitting on anything but snake eyes. This time he rolls dice minus 4, doing 4 damage to column 1. The Phoenix spends a point of focus to hit him again with his Thermal Blade, this time doing 6 damage to column 4. He spends 1 more point of focus for another swing, hitting him and doing 2 damage to column 4. Next, his full unit of battle mages activates, moving up 6 inches. One of them shoots a force bolt at the back arc of an unsuspecting Winter Guard. Needing a 4 or better, the battle mage hits and exceeds his armor by 7 points, killing the guardsman outright. The second battle mage throws a force bolt at the next Winter Guard, hitting him in his back arc. At dice -3, he kills this guardsman as well. The third battle mage shoots a force bolt at the next Winter Guard, this time from his front arc. Despite this guardsman's defense being at 12, the battle mage still manages to hit him and exceeds his armor of 13, killing him as well. The fourth battle mage shoots at the next Winter Guard, catching him in his back arc with a well-placed force bolt. At dice -3, he manages to kill this guardsman as well. The fifth battle mage hurls a force bolt at the Winter Guard's standard bearer and is just barely within its 10-inch range. Despite the giant banner being a giant target, the battle mage manages to miss. After having lost most of her unit in one turn, the Winter Guard officer makes a command check. She fails. But after looking up at the majestic Khadoran banner her lucky guardsman is carrying, she takes a deep breath, rolls a better command check, and carries on with the fight. Next, the Stormfall archers activate and advance onto the objective marker. One of the archers attempts a snipe shot at the Winter Guard officer. She's just in range of the archer who will need an 11 or better to hit her defense 16, due to cover. The arrow barely misses and the blast scatters into the open field where it can do no harm. And finally, the Mage Hunter assassin back behind my flank runs in toward my forces. This ends the retribution of Scyrah's turn in round 3. We each have control of one objective, and the objective in the center is empty. This earns us 1 point each. So we're at Khador turn 4, but there isn't really any more game to play. He has his Stormfall archers on one objective, the middle objective is still open, and my unit of Man-O-War shock troopers are holding the third. So even if I do nothing this turn, as soon as the turn is over we each score another point, putting me at 7 points and him at 4. At this point I have completed the victory conditions for the scenario. So had we gone for a caster kill, this battle probably would have lasted a few more rounds, but as it stands, this battle does end with a Khador victory. By scenario. Well, I hope you enjoyed this battle report. Thank you for your patience while I work to get these out. They do take quite a bit of time. Please leave your questions or comments below, and we'll see you next time. And for those of you wanting to know what a Khadoran war dog looks like. Grr, arg!